Tesla has been the king of EV for years, but could that soon change? The second largest car manufacturer in the world, Volkswagen, just came out with huge news on Monday on the progress of their battery technology, their goals for the future of EV, and essentially how they may overtake Tesla. What does this mean for Tesla investors and the total EV market in general? Well, let's dive right into it. What's going on, everyone? It's John, and Volkswagen stock is up about 30% over the past few days off of news from their annual Power Day, which seems quite similar to Tesla's Battery Day, but that's for another day. The German auto giant unveiled a game plan to drive down the complexity and cost of producing batteries for electric vehicles, in an effort to accelerate the transition from gasoline-powered cars to carbon-neutral transportation solutions. With ever-growing regulation and possible fines these traditional car companies are facing right now, as well as climate change continuing to be at center stage, these car companies and investors are intrigued by automakers that provide green transportation initiatives and solutions. Some of the big highlights from the day were that Volkswagen will reduce the costs of producing its batteries by up to 50%, build multiple battery factories around the world, expand its network of charging stations, and eventually transition to solid-state technology that would reduce costs and boost efficiency. The ultimate goal is to make electric cars with longer ranges and quicker charging times, really the two biggest obstacles in EV adoption for the masses today. Now, there are three main ideas and areas that Volkswagen touched on in their Power Day. First was battery technology. On Monday, Volkswagen announced that they will be bringing EV batteries in-house and set a timeline for switching to solid-state batteries, just sharpening its challenge to Tesla's dominance. By bringing EV in-house, it will drastically reduce the costs that they have, as well as give them more control over the current supply chain that they have. Volkswagen also will hike investment in Sweden's Northvolt, which is its leading supplier for battery cells right now, including a $14 billion order over the next decade, which is massive news for Volkswagen and shows just how heavily involved they are in the EV market. They also noted that they will transition to solid-state batteries and believe that they will be able to cut battery costs by a whopping 50% due to things like its new prismatic cell design, cell chemistry, and more efficient supply chains. The reduction in costs can drop battery costs to around $100 per kilowatt hour for its entry-level offerings. This will greatly increase the chances of fully electric vehicles getting to the masses, which in the EV world is just what the end goal should be for everyone anyways. With the eventual transition to solid-state batteries around 2030, this could transform electric cars with a much faster recharging time, lower costs, and increased battery life cycles, thereby removing the obstacles that have held back the mass adoption of electric vehicles for years now. Speaking of charging times, Volkswagen is working with QuantumScape, an electric battery manufacturer, to develop solid-state batteries that have demonstrated an ability to charge from nearly depleted all the way to 80% in just 12 minutes, while demonstrating 30% greater overall range, which really are just two keys to the long-distance travel by electric vehicles and making them more viable. In total, Volkswagen is targeting 1 million electric vehicles sold this year and aims to become the global EV market leader by no later than 2025. This compares to the projected 850,000 EVs that Tesla is scheduled to produce this year, which is about 150,000 more. By 2030, the share of fully electric vehicles in Europe is set to rise to as much as 60% of its total deliveries, which works out great for Volkswagen as they have about a 20 to 25% stake in the European market, as well as cost savings are going to be seen no later than 2023. Volkswagen said that when the group plans to launch a new unified battery cell, that they will be installed in 80% of its EVs by 2030, just synchronizing their entire value chain. Okay, the second area that was talked about quite a lot was the introduction of their new charging factories. On Monday, the company said that it would be building 6 battery factories in Europe alone. According to the CEO, the plants will have a combined production capacity of 40 gigawatt hours per year per factory, which is now greater than what Tesla can produce at around 35 gigawatt hours of capacity. Volkswagen also announced plans for a vast expansion in EV charging infrastructure. By 2025, it sees 18,000 public fast charging points in Europe, a 5-fold expansion versus what they're doing today. In addition, Volkswagen will also deploy fast charging points at gas stations run by large oil and gas companies, and it's also expanding public fast charging networks in the US and China. By having more of these charging stations, it will once again bring access to the EV market to the masses, allowing more and more gas-powered cars to just come right off the road. The third and final topic that was discussed was bi-directional charging. Beginning in 2022, Volkswagen models built on its MEB architecture will support bi-directional or two-way charging, which is just the ability to store green electricity from the solar energy system in the vehicle, which can be fed back into the home network if required. This will enable customers to be more independent of the public power grid and will also save money and reduce carbon emissions. By having this bidirectional charging, it also allows consumers to have power in case of an emergency, like a power outage or something similar to that. So what does this all mean for Tesla? Do they need to pivot? What's going to happen? Well, if you're invested in Tesla, you have one thing on your mind: autonomous. Even with Volkswagen able to produce millions and millions of cars a year, they are still years behind Tesla in things like autonomous vehicles. The majority of Tesla's worth is really in the software, which is where Volkswagen is really struggling right now. Also, as of now, Tesla does have a clear advantage with its lower end Model 3 versus the VW ID.4 with things like battery range and charging time. Interestingly enough, for both Volkswagen and Tesla, their ambition to dominate the electric car market really depends on their ability to become more like the other company. Volkswagen needs to quickly upgrade its software capabilities, while Tesla would love and have the huge benefit from the German car company's ability to churn out millions of cars a year. Well, they kind of need each other. And as time goes on, Tesla investors will definitely be taking a closer look at continued growth as more and more competition continues to come into play. If Tesla is able to execute its plan and offer cheaper models, increase its total production, and perfect autonomous, then I don't see any company coming in dethroning them anytime soon. But the key word there is if they execute. Time will tell if they're able to do this, but as of now, we can sit back and really just watch the show. So thank you all so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed any of this content and got any value out of it at all, please make sure to drop a like on the video and to subscribe for more content. Once again, thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next video.